Let's tap all over the foot to stimulate nerve endings and to wake up our partner who might be nodding off a little bit. Oh, what cruel kindness. Then we'll ring it out. If someone does zonk out during the massage, just keep working. They'll get the benefit. Now let's give the foot a little shake. Use the big toe as a built-in hold. Notice how we're also loosening up the gastrocnemius. It might be flopping all over the place. Your ankle is then rotated. This encourages more energy flow to and from the feet. Being the most distal part of the body, the feet are often the first to collect and retain toxins, particularly around joints. If a person has a stiff body or cold feet, it's a pretty safe bet. They also have a stiff ankle joint. Now let's warm up the Achilles a little bit. Midway between the inner ankle and the Achilles is a spot called Bigger Street, point number 3 on the kidney line. In addition to strengthening the immune system, it helps relieve fatigue. Based on my personal experience, fatigue runs epidemic in this country. In the epic Greek tale, the Odyssey, by the way, Homer described the restorative powers of massage for exhausted war heroes.
I want to tell you my side of the case.
By the way, one of the more annoying buzzwords in the parlance of massage therapy has got to be this: modality. As in,
what modality do you work in?
somatic re-engineering, experiential acumentastics, left-handed shiatsu centering, Billy Bob's super patented oriental synergy balancing. It can get a little cheesy and pretentious after a while. But in my estimation, in my experience, there's only one modality that's ever really struck a chord with me. And that's the mode we're listening to right now. The utter genius of Depeche Mode. Policy of Truth. A masterpiece. Let's work the ankles here. This calms down the ovaries and testes, and this reminds me of some of the great playwrights of ancient Greece. Aristophanes, Sophocles, Euripides, Testicles. Now your lower leg is pressed forward to stretch the quads, and then we'll apply downward pressure on the foot to stretch the calf. Use your chin for extra force. It takes pressure off our shoulders. You won't see this little chin technique in any book I'm aware of, but it works just fine. Thank you. Your leg is then held straight up, shaked, then pulled back while light tension is applied, helping reduce stiffness in the hips. A nice thing about mobilizations like this, as they're called, is they can sometimes release deeper tension that's out of hand's reach. Let's move to the other leg and let's discuss the nature of touch. We have an instinct to touch and confirm what we see, or else museums would not need signs that say, do not touch. Touch-deprived individuals often lack tact, which comes from the Latin tactus, meaning to touch. Tact basically means is to delicately touch another person. We say of a tactless man that he's a bull in a china shop. That's a description from Ashley Montagu, who in 1971 wrote this remarkable book called Touching: The Human Significance of the Skin. Montagu at one time was chairman of the anthropology department at Rutgers University in New Jersey. Montagu also pointed out that the tactile area of the brain associated with the skin is enormous, and that for years, few researchers made any real note of this. He states that tactile experience has an overwhelming effect upon behavioral development. Further, it appears that the wiring of our nervous systems is initiated not so much in the brain, but at the periphery, the skin surface. The skin is the outer surface of the brain, or the brain is the deepest layer of the skin. So says Dean Juhan, author of the landmark massage text entitled Job's body. The point I'm driving at is that tactile experience is just as central to our thinking as is language. Said Wilhelm Reich, words as we know them usually lack the power to elicit positive change in a person. Reich's name is referenced repeatedly in the better literature on bodywork. Said the great psychologist Carl Jung, reason in itself is virtually powerless. As for the measured power of touch, lab rats who get a little TLC from humans turn into better problem solvers, and they show greater emotional stability. Unhandled, neglected rats are more listless, melancholy. Further, if you take a healthy rat and inject him with stressor chemicals like we find in stressed out humans, like cortisol and adrenaline, he'll have a much harder time finding the cheese. G'day. Was reported in the New York Times in December of 1968. The story described a university study indicating that horses exposed to human handling immediately after birth developed unusual traits as adults, including more responsible behavior during emergencies. And though blind and deaf, Helen Keller reached the pinnacles of communication in her amazing lifetime. Her education came through her skin. By the way, after World War II, General MacArthur almost banned some forms of massage in Japan, the type traditionally performed by the blind. That is until Helen Keller stepped in and convinced MacArthur to change his mind. During World War I, massage was used extensively in the treatment of nerve injury and shell shock. Finish out the legs, we'll cross them over and raise both, adding a shake. The lift comes from our legs, and this further loosens the iliosacral joint, a spot that gets more troublesome as we age. To the butt. This work can be done right through the towel if necessary. You want to determine your partner's comfort level because some people need and want nothing more than you to get in there with full authority, towel or not. Pressure can be applied in a variety of ways, with our thumbs, fingers, fists, or forearm, in order to encourage more release in the gluteals. Some masseurs use their elbow. I don't care for it. It's harder to monitor whether you're applying the right degree of pressure. The buttocks store huge amounts of tension. These bands of tension can be as thick as our thumb or a small stick of pepperoni. Today, we'll go with kielbasa. A pelvis that's full of kielbasa tends to move as one solid block. This in turn restricts movement in the legs. I've seen women make fun of other women whose pelvis moves freely. They call her swivel hips or something. But in reality, old swivel hips has the upper hand in this department. The functional reality of the pelvis lies not so much in the bony framework, but in the tough myofascial web work that connects the bones. Myofascial is termed for the muscle-fascia continuum. The prefix myo means muscle, and it comes from the Latin mus and us, and the Greek mis and ys, meaning mouse. They thought some muscles were shaped like mice. Pelvis, by the way, is the Latin word for basin or font, as in the receptacle for water. Now, I have a key attached to this myofascial web. In the pelvis lies the key to our well-being, or so said Dr. Rolfe, who died in 1979. She also said it would be interesting to investigate scientifically how many cases of deep-rooted emotional problems are really a matter of a pubococcygeus muscle, PC, that's out of whack. This might be the key point in this entire